In the last session, we went over the notes of the keyboard, the difference between tones and semitones, and what is meant by the term key. We focused on a major key and learnt 3 major scales: C major, G major, and D major. Just to remind you, a major scale series goes tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So C major would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, using fingers 1, 2 and 3 on C, D, E, thumb under to F, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 on G, A, B, C. In this session, we're going to look at how to build chords from a major key and create a chord progression ready for improvisation. Before we learn about chords, it is important to understand intervals within an octave. An interval is the distance in pitch between any 2 notes. If the notes are played together, they form a harmonic interval. If one comes after the other, it is a melodic interval. It's important to remember that when counting the notes of intervals, both notes are included. C to D, for example, is the interval of a second. C to E, a third. C to F, a fourth, and so on. Could you tell me what the interval number of C to B would be? It would be the interval of a seventh. Remember to count both of the notes too. What about C to A? That would be the interval of a sixth. Remember, if it is played together, it would be a harmonic interval, and if one comes after the other, it would be a melodic interval. So, a chord is simply when 2 or more notes are played together. There is no limit to the number of notes in a chord apart from practical considerations such as only having 10 fingers. We're going to start with triad chords. As the name implies, they consist of 3 notes. The 3 notes which make up a triad are the root, so that's the starting note, plus an interval of a third and fifth above it. Triads can be built on each step of the major scale, producing 7 different chords which we label with Roman numerals from 1 to 7. Let's build our 7 chords for C major as an example. We know the notes of a C major scale: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Starting on C as the root note, we're going to add the third, E, and fifth, G, above it. Our first triad, labelled chord 1, is therefore made up of C, E, G. The middle note determines whether we describe this as major or minor. Simply, if the middle note is 4 semitones above the root, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is major, which is often described as sounding happy. If it is 3 semitones above the root, it is minor, 1, 2, 3, which is often described as sounding sad. The middle note here is E, which is 4 semitones above the root, C, E. Chord 1, C, E, G, is therefore a C major chord. Our second triad starts on D. Adding the third and fifth above from the scale adds F and A. The middle note F is only 3 semitones above the root. This is therefore D minor, D, F, A. Our third triad starts on E. Adding the third and fifth above from the scale adds G and B. The middle note G is only 3 semitones above from the root. So this is therefore E minor, E, G, B. Our fourth triad starts on F. Adding the third and fifth above from the scale adds A and C. The middle note A is 4 semitones above from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an F major chord, F, A, C. Next, our fifth triad starts on G. Adding the third and fifth above from the scale adds B and D. The middle note B is 4 semitones above from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is therefore a G major chord, G, B, D. Let's check our first 5 chords so far in the key of C major. Chord 1 is C major, C, E, G. Chord 2 is D minor, D, F, A. Chord 3 is E minor, E, G, B. Chord 4 is F major, F, A, C. And chord 5 is G major, G, B, D. Let's keep going. Our next triad starts on A. Adding the third and fifth above from the scale adds C and E. The middle note C is only 3 semitones above from the root. 1, 2, 3. This is therefore an A minor chord, ACE. Our final triad, the 7th triad, starts on B. Adding the 3rd and 5th above from the scale adds D and F. Notice this sounds different from the others. We always describe the 7th triad in a major key as a diminished chord, and we'll look at this in more detail in future videos. Our 7 chords in C major are therefore chord 1, C major, C, E, G, chord 2, D minor, D, F, A, chord 3, E minor, E, G, B, chord 4, F major, F, A, C, chord 5, G major, G, B, D, chord 6, A minor, A, C, E, chord 7, B diminished, B, D, F. This is known as a diatonic chord series, as all the chords are constructed from the same key. No matter which major key we are in, the chords will always follow this pattern of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and their relationships to each other will sound the same, making it easier for us to improvise. Pause the video here and practice the triads that belong to the key of C major.